You've just entered the no delusion zone. I'm David Dubato. Today's podcast is going to be primarily about the, of course, latest events that are going on here in the oligarchy of America, and focusing after that on the events, the new news, what's going on out of Ukraine, Europe, to include NATO and the EU. First, I just want to say my absolute disgust and revulsion towards Donald Trump, the illegitimate president of the oligarchy of America, for his strong arm tactics, his mafia protection racket stance, threats, gangster like talk against the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. He's a mob boss. Trump is a mob boss. He really doesn't give a damn about the Ukrainian people, about Europe, actually about anyone at all, including here in America. He only cares about himself. He's trying to settle this deal, meaning a peace agreement of some kind in Ukraine, because he promised he would do that to his MAGA cult. And so he's already behind schedule. He said he would have a peace deal made between Russia and Ukraine within 24 hours, the first day of his office. Of course, that was utter bullshit. Hasn't happened. We're into week 7 now, and we're no closer to a peace agreement, a ceasefire agreement of any kind between Russia and Ukraine than we were before. And so now he has tried to strong arm Zelensky using just a classic mafia type of protection racket against Ukraine. Either pay up, or we won't send you any more weapons. We won't protect you from Russia. We'll leave you to die, essentially. We may even help Russia, which he's threatened to do. So we've got this scumbag Trump who's using mafia tactics, a protection racket scheme against Zelensky to try to get him an outrageous agreement to agree to giving the United States not only 50% of their rare earth, their rare minerals for, I guess, forever, but now it's 50% of all their oil, gas, and revenues from their ports in perpetuity forever. This is just extortion. It's mafia-like extortion. It's worse than the settlement, the settlement terms that we demanded of Imperial Germany in World War I, and they were the losers, if anyone forgot. But their terms were not as harsh as the ones that Trump is demanding from Zelensky, our alleged ally. Asshole. That's first of all. And again, he has given all the concessions that Putin wanted to Putin before the alleged negotiations have even started. He hasn't asked for any concessions from Putin, but he's asked for all kinds of concessions from Zelensky. And again, negotiations haven't even started yet. And get this, Putin has already said that if Russia can't continue to occupy all of Ukraine that they illegally and brutally seized, meaning all of Crimea and the Donbass, eastern Ukraine, about 20% of Ukraine, that they're not even going to entertain any ceasefire or peace negotiations. Oh, and if any NATO boots or aircraft, boots on the ground or aircraft fly over Ukraine as part of any peace settlement, any negotiated settlement, they're not going to agree. And dipshit Trump keeps saying how Putin is a man of peace. He wants peace. Well, this man of peace keeps attacking Ukraine every day with drones and missiles, killing dozens of innocent women and children. He's attacking, again, apartment houses, schools, nurseries, churches, libraries, and of course, their critical electrical infrastructure, plunging them in the middle of the winter into cold nights. No heat, no electricity for hours on end every single day. But this is a man of peace, according to Donald shit-faced Trump, you lying sack of shit. On a positive note, I'm going to say bravo, kudos to the Netherlands, Holland. They've just committed 3.5 billion euros. That's almost 4 billion US dollars to military aid for Ukraine. This is a small country, folks. That's a lot of money to them. And they've already contributed a lot, 3.5 billion euros to Ukraine from the Netherlands. Kudos. Kudos to you. And talking about Europe, the EU, the European Union, not NATO, the European Union has just more or less approved a total package of military and other aid to Ukraine in the amount of 800 billion euros. That's almost 900 billion, folks. That's just short of $1 trillion, US dollars. Now, it's not been finalized yet. I realize there's a lot of politics involved in the EU. I get it. But I think they finally got it. They kind of got the memo. They know they're under the gun. They know they have to support Ukraine because Trump is a lying sack of shit and not worth anything. So I believe this is going to go through. Will it happen today? No. Will it happen in a few weeks? Yes, I think it will. 800 billion euros by the EU for Ukraine. And we're not talking in another few years. We're talking this year. This year. Kudos and bravo to the EU for finally, as I say, getting the memo. And NATO just, of course, held another press conference. They've been having a lot of emergency meetings, which they should, over the disaster of the Oval Office meeting last week between Trump and Zelensky. And look, I understand the president of Poland, Duda, having to kind of soften his words when he talks about Trump. I get it. And the same thing with Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO. I get it. He can't come right out and call Trump an asshole, but I'm really sick of him calling Trump his friend, and I'm really tired of him saying that he trusts Trump to defend and support NATO, and that he trusts Trump to support and come to NATO's aid under Article 5 if a NATO member is attacked. He has said repeatedly, Trump, including, I think, yesterday, he's not going to honor Article 5 if all of the NATO members don't honor the arbitrary amount of money he says they need to put up. First, it was 2%. Then it was, I think, 3.5%. Now he's saying 5% of GDP for NATO members. It changes a lot. He's saying any NATO member that doesn't pay up, he's not going to agree. He's not going to support Article 5 if they're attacked. He's not going to do it unless they pay up. Again, this is what a mafia leader says, not the president of a democratically elected nation. A mafia don, a gangster, a thug, a scumbag. So, folks, Rutte, stop saying that Trump is trustworthy and that you're friends with him. That's too bad. I hope you wouldn't have been friends with Hitler if you were alive then, because that's who you're making friends with now. So I'd really like for you to get over it and stop saying that he's going to honor Article 5 and come to the aid of any NATO member that, in his opinion, hasn't paid up, even though the only time Article 5 was ever enacted was after the United States was attacked on 9/11. NATO, under Article 5, came to our aid, but Trump conveniently forgets that because he probably never knew it. And even if they told it to him, that block-headed shithead wouldn't understand it, and he'd keep still saying he's not going to honor Article 5 unless they pay up. Look, and the last thing I'm going to say, Duda, Rutte, all of you leaders of the EU and NATO, stop kissing Trump's ass. He's just like Putin. He senses weakness. You're not going to schmooze him. You're not going to butter him up by complimenting him to the point where he's going to help you, where he's going to help NATO, where he's going to help Ukraine, where he's going to help the EU. He's abandoning you, folks. You need to get over it. You need to acknowledge that, maybe even in public, and cut the ties. He's not going to defend you. He's going to abandon you. He already has, figuratively, and he's going to do it literally. So the sooner you acknowledge that privately and publicly and tell Trump to kiss your ass, the better. Because it's not going to change him. And that's all I have to say. I hope I brightened all of your days. And if I have, and especially if I haven't, please hit the subscribe button. As I always say, the voice of the opposition to the oligarchy of America, this almost completely dictatorship that I'm living under now in the oligarchy of America, formerly the constitutional republic of the United States of America. The voice of the opposition needs your help. Hit the subscribe button. I'm still under a YouTube shadow ban, so need to build this channel back up again. I have some very, very loyal subscribers. I need a ton more. Hit the subscribe button. Go to buymeacoffee.com and buy me a coffee. Let's keep this going. Let's make it even bigger and louder, because it's not getting any better, my friends. So look, until next time, you all take care, stay safe, and stay sane.